you own both Rolex and AP? We see how people move through Rolex ownership and why AP often becomes the watch that changes expectations. Why Audemars Piguet owners never go back to Rolex. Most people start with Rolex, but once some collectors buy an Audemars Piguet, me included, they don't really go back, at least not in the same way. Hear me out. They might still own a Rolex, they might still wear one, but mentally, the shift has happened. Today, I want to explain why. It's not hype. It's not marketing. It's not for sales. It's just what actually changes once AP enters the collection. And stick around because toward the end, I'll touch on resale values and exclusivity and how they differ between the brands. And that part usually surprises a lot of people. So let's start here. Rolex is usually the entry-level point. It doesn't have to be, it not always is, but often is. It's the watch you buy because you want something that works for every day. It's durable, it's accurate, it's easy to service, and very easy to resell. There's comfort in that knowing it's easy to resell. Rolex is basically like buy it and forget it in a sense because your money's safe. AP is different. It isn't about being safe. It's about feeling something when you put on a watch. One of the biggest differences is production. AP makes far fewer watches every year. That alone changes how ownership feels. It's been said that Rolex produces 1.5 million units annually. Audemars Piguet has been around since 1875 and has never produced over 1 million units ever. So it's a much different exclusivity when it comes to the two, specifically Rolex. You don't see APs everywhere. You don't constantly run into the same watch or on someone else's wrist. And for a lot of collectors, that matters more than they expected. Then there's design. AP takes risks, the case shape, the exposed screws, the dial texture, especially the tapisserie dial or mega tapisserie. It feels almost architectural, almost industrial, but still refined. Rolex design is definitely timeless, but they're conservative by comparison. AP feels more expensive, more personal. And when you actually handle an AP, that's where things click for a lot of people. The finishing, the dial work, the way the case and bracelet come together. Collectors often say the same thing. You can tell when you hold it that you have an AP. It's not louder, it's just more detailed. Complications play a huge role too. AP leans harder into the high-end watchmaking with open works, tourbillons, and more artistic visual movements. Rolex keeps things simple by design. GMTs, Sky Dwellers, and Submariners, it's mostly it. Rolex prioritizes reliability. AP prioritizes experience. It's also important to note that Rolex doesn't have many open case backs because the movements aren't that pretty. This is usually the point where Rolex starts to feel more like a tool again. An AP feels like a timepiece. And this perspective comes from being in the market every day. I take case backs off Rolex every day and look at the movements. I look at the movements on APs. We buy, sell, trade, source, consign, and service watches. So we see how people move through Rolex ownership and why AP often becomes the watch that changes expectations. There's also a perception shift that happens. Owning an AP often feels like stepping into a smaller circle. Not better, just different. Rolex is recognized by everyone. AP is recognized by the right people. Some collectors really value this distinction, including me. Let's talk honestly about the market side. Rolex has incredible liquidity. If you need to sell, there's always a buyer. Prices are stable, predictable, and easy to understand. AP can perform very well on the secondary market, especially limited pieces or boutique exclusives, which is basically a limited piece or a limited run. but it's also more volatile. Some models do extremely well, while others might not, like the newer offshores on the secondary market. Others swing more than people might expect, other models. There are fewer buyers overall, and service costs are much higher, especially with the complications on the movement. To put it in perspective, a service on a Rolex is about $1,000. Entry-level service on an AP is $2,000 to $3,000. Entry-level. That's why most collectors don't really sell their Rolex, but they stop chasing it. They separate roles. Rolex becomes a daily. AP becomes the watch you wear. You want something special. And eventually you'll graduate to wearing an AP on a daily basis too. But usually the first step is that. That's why people say AP owners never go back to Rolex. Not because Rolex stops being good, but because once you experience AP, your expectations change. And once that happens, it's very hard to unsee it. If you're drawn to the side of watchmaking and want to see AP pieces in person or compare them properly, we do have lots of models available through our store and on Chrono24 and in person. Details are in the description, and our team can walk you through all of the differences. But most importantly, I'm curious to hear this one. Do you own both Rolex and AP? If you do, which one do you actually reach for more and why? For me, I only reach for AP, but I want to hear from you because that's the answer that usually says more than the brand itself. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.